Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We show you how to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and it's another edition from Tales of the Underhive, Battle Report number 8. This time it's a gang fight scenario, and this time it's between two of my buddies. Brother Grimm, he's back now with a brand new House Goliath gang. This time the gang is called the Full Metal Commandos, and he's up against my buddy Lady Domina, and she's bringing her Killjoys, which is her House Escher gang. So this is kind of neat because now we get to see a rival of a brand new gang to our second tier of our campaign. This is our Escher gang, played by Lady Domina, and Brother Grimm now is looking forward to basically earn some redemption points since his first Goliath gang got killed in the first half of the campaign. So yeah, this is also kind of like a grudge match because historically speaking, according to Fluff, House Goliath and House Escher can stand one another. So let's see what happens when my two friends battle out for the Thrill of the Underhive. Alright, so let's start with Lady Domina's the Killjoy. That is her House Escher gang. Her leader's name is Furia. She's armed with a bolt gun, pistol, and a chain sword. Next comes two of her heavies, Mad Donna, who's armed with a grenade launcher, frag grenades, and last pistol, and Yoko the Pyro, who's armed with a flamer, as well as a last pistol. Next comes Lady Domina's gangers. We have One Shot Blonde, she's armed with a hunting rifle, Lucky Lucy, who's armed with the last gun, Silky Sorrow, who's also armed with the last gun, as well as Raven. She's armed with a bolt gun, sword, and as well as Nocturna, she's another ganger, armed with the last gun and sword. After that, she basically has two more Juves. You have Mimi the Punk, she's a Juve armed with the last pistol, and Trixie, who's also armed with the last pistol and chain flow. And she also has a hired gun in this gang. She has a scummer, his name is Redcap. He's armed with auto pistol, plasma pistol. He's got +1 ballistic skill, +1 toughness, +1 wound. He's got the hip shooting skills, the gunfighter ability, as well as rapid fire. So Redcap the scummer is basically geared to kill. So with that being said, let's move on to my buddy Brother Grimm's army list for this one. Alright, now let's talk about the Full Metal Commandos. This is Brother Grimm's brand new House Goliath gang. Leading his gang, he's got Blitzkrieg Bob, who's armed with a grenade launcher with frag and crack grenades, a massive sword, and an auto pistol. Next comes his heavy. His name is Stuka. He's armed with a heavy stubber as well as an auto pistol. Then we have his gangers, the Headhunter. He's armed with a last gun and massive axe. Porter, who's armed with a auto gun. Gage is also armed with an auto gun, as well as Rager. He's armed with a shotgun with scatter and solid shot, and Craze is his other ganger, armed with a bolt gun. Next, he's got three Juves. He has Whack-A-Mole, who's a Juve armed with a massive maul and auto pistol. Average Schmo, who's a Juve armed with a stun gun. And finally, Flesh Stick, who's armed with a massive maul, carries a stun gun, and has dum-dum bullets. So that brings up my buddy Brother Grimm's Goliath gang for this one. Alright, so here's the photo of the combat zone where this battle is taking place. As you can see, we're fighting on a 4x4 table. My buddies will be deploying on either side of that table, and they basically fight out their gang fight scenario. Basically, the idea is that both gangs basically fight it out until one opponent bottles out or voluntarily surrenders. And with that being said, if there's 3 or more times casualties for the other gang, one of my buddies is going to earn the other guys' territories for that matter. So with that out of the way, let's go directly to the deployment phase. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go directly to the deployment phase. As you can see on the left-hand side of the battlefield, we have Brother Grimm's the Full Metal Commandos lined up in that kind of corner there on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side of the board is where Lady Domina set up her Killjoys. So let's go ahead and talk about the individual deployment zones for each of the gangs. Alright, here's the deployment for Brother Grimm. As you can see, he basically went about with a pincer attack style tactic. He deployed part of his gang here on the right hand side of the board, and he also deployed his gang up in the upper part there. So you can see on the left hand side, he's got his 3 Jews. On the right hand side, he's got Blitzkrieg Bob, who's his leader, followed by Stuka, his heavy, and then 2 of his gangers. I think it's the Headhunter as well as Craze. So they're located here on this side. And on the upper side of the board is where he deployed the rest of his gang. On this side of the board, it's kind of hard to see, but he deployed the other 3 members of his gang located right there next to the Alexander's apartment store, so that's where he's located at the top of the board. And so I think his idea is that he's planning on going in forward with his main body towards the Killjoys and then maybe flanking them with his autogun wielding gangers there on the left-hand side. I think that's the tactic he's going for, but it's really hard to tell. So that makes it the point for the Goliath. With that, we go directly to House Escher. Alright, here's the deployment for Lady Domina. As you can see there on the far side of the table there, she's basically broke up her gang into 3 parts. A third of her gang is not on the table because they have the tunnel special rules. So you can see on the right hand side, she has her last gun wielding gangers, especially with her leader. No, just her last gun wielding gangers are located there. That's what's going on that side as well. And on the far left hand side, she's got her leader as well as another one of her heavies as well as Redcap, her hired scummer. So that makes the deployment on this side of the board. Up here near the top of the board, she has her gang leader as well as another one of her heavies, as well as another ganger as well. And then she's also got Redcap, her hired gun scummer, located there right next to the West Super Red right there on the top. So that makes the deployment on this side of the board. And lying in the tunnel deployment, waiting to deploy on the battlefield, these are two of her Jews, Mimi the Punk, as well as Trixie, as well as Yoko the Pyro, are also located there as well. So that's where basically Lady Domina's deployment. So with deployment out of the way, we go directly to the top of turn number 1. All right, so now it's the top of turn number 1 for movement. The Escher won the initiative on this part, so they get to go first. This is a movement going on this side. As you can see in this picture, Lady Donna basically runs up two of her Gingers. She runs up one-shot blonde. That's the Escher there with the gray cape. That's on the right-hand side on the second floor. She's armed with the hunting rifle. And she also runs up Nocturna, who's another Ginger armed with the last gun, the sword. And she's that Ginger who's located on the left-hand side looking out the window. Basically, I think what her tactic was planning as Lady Donna was planning on occupying this office building so that way her two snipers can shoot at the Goliath as they make their way down the main center, either the streets or the chemical compound there on the left-hand side. So that's moving on this side of the board. And continuing on with some of her movement phase here on the right-hand side, she ran up her to two other last gun-wielding gangers, Lucky Lucy, who's on the very top floor there, as well as Silky Sarah, who's on the second floor. They're located there as well. And I'm assuming the reason why Lady Domina deployed her troops there is so, like, once again, she could start commanding long-range fields of fire towards the Alexander's department store on the right-hand side, as well as any movement that goes on the left-hand side there on either side of that tank farm, the MCI tank farm located right there. So that makes a movement in the center portion of the battlefield. And over here on the right-hand flank of the battlefield, as you can see, she moves with the rest of her gang. On the left-hand side there, you have Furia. She's kind of taking corner there right next to that L-shaped walkway there on the left-hand side. She's also got her other ganger, the middle of the boat gun. Her name is Ravina. She's on the right-hand side occupying the bottom of that, what you call it, that steel kind of, I don't know, kind of, I guess, like a copper color kind of structure there, right there in the center part portion right there. So she's located there. She's also got her heavy Mad Donna's on the grenade launcher occupying the second floor. And as you can see, taking point, she's got the Red Cap Killer, who's her scummer, and he's basically taking the point on that part. So that makes up movement on this side of the board. Because she ran all of her troops during the movement phase, there's no shooting phase, since there's no close combat or recovery phase. We go to the end of turn number 1, and for the Escher, Lady Dama decides to deploy her last remaining gang members, who are Yoko the Pyro, as well as Trixie and Mimi the Punk, the two Jews, in that MCI Chemical Works right there, and that's just right in front of the structure that the Full Metal Commandos are located at, so it looks like she's kind of taking the preemptive strike on that part. So yeah, that makes up turn number 1 for the Escher. Alright, so this is turn number 1 for House Goliath. As you can see in this picture, basically Brother Grimm just kind of sends his forces running forward here on the left-hand side. In the bottom there of the page, that's not the bottom there, on the middle of the street there on the right-hand side, on the ground level where that structure is located, you can see he put his three Jews, Whack-A-Mole, Average Schmo, as well as Flesh Dick, and basically I think he's using them kind of like as human shields or human bait to kind of lure out the Eschers. There on the second floor of that compound right there on the top, you have his Heavy, whose name is Stuka. That guy's over the Heavy Stubber. Next to him is Blitzkrieg Bob with his grenade launcher, and there on the second floor is also Craze. He's that gang who's also armed with a bolt gun. And then right there on the left-hand side, on the very far side of the structure, kind of like staying on the ground, is the Headhunter with his last gun and massive axe. So that's moving here on this side of the board. And over here at the top of the board near the Alexander's department store, both Gage as well as Porter. Those are the two gangs over the auto guns. I believe what's his name? Porter's his name. Yeah, he's on the very top floor, looking through that shooting hole that's located on the second floor. Whereas Gage is located here on the main floor, there, kind of occupying the main entrance. On the left-hand side, he's sitting at his other ganger. His name is Rager. He's armed with a shotgun with solid slugs as well as scatter shot, and he's sitting towards the MCI Chemical Water Tower there, tower number 1. So that makes up basically kind of get themselves set up in a situation where they can start opening fire on the Eschers on both fronts. So that makes a movement phase, and with movement done, we go directly to the shooting phase. Alright, so onto the shooting phase. As you can see there, we start opening up with Craze. Craze opens up with his bolt gun. Unfortunately for my friend Lady Domina, he basically hit his target, was that Jew located on the right hand side with the bolt gun, managed to get that hit and also cause the wound as well. Unfortunately, however, for Brother Grimm, he did it on a 6 for the hit, so because of that, he has to take an ammo roll, and Craze fails his ammo roll. So poor guy has nothing to shoot with. He basically has no gun. All he can really do is run to somebody and punch him in the head from this point on. So yeah, that makes him shooting phase on this part of the board. And more trouble just keeps on going down with Mimi the Punk. Mimi the Punk basically fails her. Lady Donna rolls for her recovery. She rolls a 6, so Mimi the Punk is now out of action. So chalk 1 up for the Full Metal Commandos, and 1 loss already for the Killjoy. So with that going out of the way, we continue on with the shooting phase. and swinging right for the fences to where both Nocturna as well as One Shot Blonde are located on the second floor of that office building. Brother Grimm taps on Stuka, his heavy arm with the heavy stubber, and he cuts loose with full auto on that part. So it's kind of neat. He actually got off 3 different shots, all 3 hit. However, he did roll a 6 for one of his hits, so because he has to take an ammo roll check, and Stuka unfortunately fails his ammo roll. So because of that, that heavy is not only armed with his auto pistol now, so basically his long range firepower is no longer going for him. But because of that, though, it's actually kind of a good risk because he took out those 2 gangers located there in the second floor of that office building. And here's a close of the 2 gangers, One Shot Blonde as well as Nocturna. They both got hit. They both are down. They're not out of action. They're just down for right now. Luckily for Lady Dominant, both of her gangers passed her initiative test. They don't worry about falling off the edge on that part. So already the flank there, that left-hand flank there is looking like it's starting to fall apart. And it looks like Brother Grimm might be able to exploit it here in a little bit. So because everybody else basically ran or out of range and they're shooting, there's no close combat. So we go directly into the turn number 2. So we're now at the top of turn 2 after movement for the Escher. As you can see in this picture here in the MCI Chemical Works, both Yoko the Pyro as well as Trixie, the Jupe for the Eschers, Lady Dawn moves them up 4 inches and basically puts them in a perfect lineup shot in order to hit those 3 Jews, Whack-A-Mole, Average Schmo, as well as Flesh Stick. And it could be kind of bad because Yoko the Pyro's arm with a flamer, if she cuts loose that flame template, she could really screw up Brother Grimm's day by taking out those 3 Jews. So, much to worry about that part. So that makes a movie here in the front portion of the board. Over here at the top of the board, both Furia as well as, what's her name? Furia and Raven. They basically maintain their fighting positions where they're located at. Same thing with Mad Donna the Heavy. She kind of moves up just a little bit so that way they can put themselves in the field of fires into the Alexander's department store, which is right across the way from the Chemical Works. However, she does move up Red Cap Killer to his maximum movement allowance and basically puts him on top of that water tank there. And because of Red Cap's abilities with Hoop Shooter, Gunfight, and Rapid Fire, basically, he's kind of like in a good situation to start opening up some weaponry and just bringing the pain, basically. So, yeah, that makes a movement on this side of the board. And in the shooting phase, Yoko the Pyro unleashes the magic of the flamer attack right on top of those 3 Jews. All 3 guys basically hit the dirt on that part. They are both down. They both got wounded. Whack-A-Mole, Average Schmo, and Flesh Stick basically didn't stand a chance when she cut loose of that flamer. So those poor guys, man, they got rosy toasty, which is actually pretty awesome to think about. It's kind of like whoosh, and those guys got set ablaze. So that part was kind of cool. And to add insult to injury, Flesh Stick, who's the Jew with the huge maul, he basically goes out of action for that turn, so he's now out for the count. So because of that, my opponent now has to start worrying, Brother Grimm has to start worrying about making bottle rolls now because 2 of his gangers are down and the other one's out of action, so that's a third of his gang, and he could lose this one if he's not careful with a bad leadership roll. And to make matters worse, both Whack-A-Mole and Average Schmo are on fire. So there's also that going on too. Those 2 guys are just laying on the ground, just basically burning alive at the same time. So that was pretty freaking awesome in my opinion. So I thought that was kind of cool how Lady Dawn just kind of basically just came out of the fence swinging with that flamer. So yeah, kudos to her. So because Yoko the Pyro basically took out all 3 of those Jews, Trixie, the Jew with the last pistol, she basically takes aim with her pistol, aims it at Craze, and manages to put a wound on that guy. So now Craze is hit the dirt now. So that part was actually kind of cool as well. So already about 4 members of the gang are down. 2 of them, one of them is out of action. 3 of them are down for the count. So things are not looking good for Brother Grimm on this one. And because Craze went down 2 inches outside of the range, 2 inches within range of the Headhunter runs to take a break test. He fails. He runs off the board. So now 2 of the gangs are now out. So things are definitely looking bad for Brother Grimm. In fact, if he manages to survive this battle roll, this battle test at the end of this phase, it'll be a miracle if that actually happens. So yeah, things are just definitely not working out for the Full Metal Commandos. I feel kind of bad for those guys because the Goliaths had a really hard time in the first half of the campaign. Now it looks like they're off to a bumpy start for the second half of the campaign. So oof, poor Brother Grimm. However, there is some kind of hope for Brother Grimm. After all, Craze, he basically gets back up and he rolls for his recovery phase on that portion as well. He has suffered a flesh wound, so now he's down to ballistic and weapon skill 2. So things are not looking so good for Craze, but at least he's not down and out. So there's a silver lining if there is one. And in the shooting phase, Red Cap Killer basically opens with both his guns, both the plasma gun as well as the auto pistol onto the poor ganger, Rager. Basically managed to put a wound on that guy as well, so that guy went down for the town. And basically because of the strength of the plasma gun, because he shot at maximum strength, basically Rager goes out and either a score of a 5 or a 6 on that one. And because of that, Rager basically goes out of action as well. So now he has 2 guys out of action, 1 who fled, and Brother Grimm's got 2 guys who are basically laying on the ground, also on fire as well. So like I said before, poor Brother Grimm, nothing's really going his way in this round. So yeah, that's pretty tough on that part. During the recovering phase, One-Shot Blonde, she manages to recover her wound. She has a flesh wound now, so she's down to weapon skill 2 and ballistic skill 2 as well, but she manages to get back up on her feet again. However, for Nocturna, basically she's still down. So because of that, recovery is kind of bittersweet for Lady Dawn on this part. So with recovery over, we now go to the bottom of number 2 for House Goliath. All right, so here's the bottom of number 2 for House Goliath after move phase. As you can see in this picture, basically, Blitzkrieg Bob moves up 4 inches to the second floor of to get the edge of that second floor there of that structure. He plans on opening up with a grenade launcher. The rest of his gang members, Stuka as well as Gage, sorry, not Gage, Craze, they just run forward, jump off the edge there, and kind of land right there to kind of provide some targets for Yoko the Pyro as well as for Trixie to open fire at there. So that's moving on this side of the board. As for this side of the board, both Porter and Gage, they basically line up in position to open up with their auto guns onto Redcap Killer, who's located there on top of the water tank. So because nobody else can move around because most of the gang is down or out of action, we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, Blitzkrieg Bob takes aim with his grenade launcher, opens up the frag grenades, and manages to hit both Trixie as well as Miyoko the Pyro as well. So things might be looking kind of good for the Goliath. After all, they maybe just open up the grenade launcher, maybe they take out those 2 gang members with 1 shot if possible. However, in the end, only 1 person went down. Trixie the Juve basically fell to the ground and basically is now down. She's not out of action. She's down for right now. And Yoko the Pyro just basically shrugs at the failed attempt of Blitzkrieg Bob try to take in order to take her out. So that makes it shooting on this side of the board. And on this side of the board, both Porter and Gage open up with their auto guns. Unfortunately for Brother Grimm, Gage, when he opened up with his auto gun, he did manage to hit the Redcap Killer with a 6, but failed to wound. However, because he rolled a 6 on that part, he had a roll of an ammo save. Unfortunately for Brother Grimm, he only rolled a 1, so because of that, he failed his ammo roll. So Gage is now totally out of ammo. He's just kind of sitting there in the the Alexander supermarket, not sure what to do. However, Porter, he managed to put a wound off of the Redcap Killer. However, the only problem is that Redcap Killer has 2 wounds, not 1, so that Scummer's still on his feet. Man, that Scummer's pretty bamf. I mean, he's got the +1 toughness, he's got the +1 ballistic skill, +1 wound, he's got those wonderful shooting skills, man. Lady Dawn, she really lucked out on that Scummer. And with things looking pretty grim for Brother Grimm, with half his gang unable to shoot now because they're totally out of ammo, basically he bottles out at this point, and Brother Grimm basically calls the game and decides to bow out voluntarily before before the Eschers, the Killjoys managed to wipe him out completely. So yeah, things did not go very well for Brother Grimm in this part. So with that being said, we go directly to the post game and on to the next one. Alright, now it's time for the post-game where we basically talk about the fates of both gangs that participated within the Tales of the Underhive Battle Report. So this is the post-game for Battle Report number 8 of Tales from the Underhive. This was a gang fight scenario fought between the Killjoys of House Escher, led by Lady Domina, versus Brother Grimm of the Full Metal Commandos of House Goliath. So let's go ahead and start off with the list with the Full Metal Commandos on this one. For the injuries, Rager survives against the odds, so because that he gains +9 initiative points, not initiative points, experience points, so that was looking pretty good there for the Goliath. And Fleshstick, he comes out with horrible scars, so now he causes fear whenever he charges. Now for the advancements, there was a couple of advances for all the gangs involved. Rager, he gains bulging biceps as a skill, so because that he's now +1 strength. And same with Craze, he earns bulging biceps as well, and he's also got +1 strength. Porter, he gained the Berserker Charge skill, whereas Whack-A-Mole, Average Schmill, and Fleshstick, all 3 of those guys gained achievements as well. Whack-A-Mole gets +1 for his Ballistic skill, Average Schmill gets +1 for his Leadership, and Fleshstick earns the Body Slam skill, so that part's kind of nice. For the territory, they managed to earn 45 credits from their territories, and for the merchant, they purchased Best Armor for Blitzkrieg Bob, and a Stub Gun for Craze in case he runs out of ammo again now. So, the new gang rating for the Full Metal Commandos is 1,362 points, and their current record is 0 wins and 1 loss. So things is not looking so great for the Brother Grimm and his Full Metal Commandos. For the Killjoys, with injuries, both Mimi the Punk and Trixie both made full recoveries, so nothing to worry about there. For advancements, basically 3 members of the gang advance. Yoko gains +1 for attack, Mimi the Punk learns the catfall skill, and Trixie learns the dodge skill, which is actually kind of cool for those guys. For their territory, Lady Donna earned 45 credits for her, and for mentions, she spent 15 credits on rehiring Redcap the Killer, and also gained frag grenades for Trixie, and restoring the other 5 remaining getting creds in her stash. Her new gang rating is now at 1,477 points, and the Killjoy's current record is at 1 win and 0 losses. So that pretty much rounds it up for Battles of the Underhive number 7 for Tales from the Underhive number 8. So things are looking pretty good there for the Killjoys. Like I said before, we got 4 new gangs coming into the scene for the second half of our campaign. So it's really nice to see this variety going on. Once again, we're appreciating the comments, the likes, and the subscribes that you guys are giving to this channel. So please keep it up. Put your input in there in your comments as well. It's only going to make these battle reports even better. So yeah, thank you once again for listening, you guys. You guys keep on rocking. We'll see you guys on the next one.